behind the cold front. We'll dip all the way down into the mid-30s. Some spots, the rural areas and farms, may even see the freezing mark by early tomorrow morning. We're dry for our Thursday, but it's cool with low to mid-50s. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
WSIC is your home for NASCAR Cup Series racing. This weekend, it's the Pennzoil 400 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Sunday, March 3rd at 2:30, right here on WSIC.
If you have an upcoming event, let WSIC spread the word. Go to WSICnews.com and click on the Community Calendar button. WSIC, proud to be part of your community.
Gentlemen, welcome back to the Scoreboard, segment number 1, just getting started here on this Wednesday, halfway through the week, hump day it is. 844 Studio 4, that's the phone number, get you right here into the studio, be a part of the Scoreboard, comments, questions, anything you have for me. We'll listen and we'll chat here on the Scoreboard. High school, college, pro sports, all in full swing. We have a lot on tap for you here today. High school basketball playoffs, round number 1 concluding last night. We'll let you know who in the area is having a good run, who's going to be playing a little bit later on in the week because, hey, next game's Friday. They're coming up. And we had a few schools in the area that we've been covering that had games yesterday. Be sure to keep you updated, not only in the men's bracket, but also the women's high school bracket as well, because there are local teams spread out throughout those. Also, I told you that we had baseball starting, and boy, oh boy, are we in full swing now for baseball. Most schools getting their first games in. We still have a couple of schools left to get their first game of the season in, but we'll go over the ones that we did have from yesterday and what's coming up for you today. So a lot of high school sports going on. Also, the NCAA, we have a little bit of a news story-ish here on the NCAA tournament that I want to get to. We had college basketball last night, a massive, massive upset in the Big 12. There was also a situation, I guess is what we'll call it, with Texas and Texas Tech as those two rivals faced off against each other yesterday. Also, NASCAR. We're going to start previewing the Pennzoil 400 from Las Vegas coming up this Sunday. And as I always say, you can catch all that action right here on WSIC. We'll go over the favorites, talk about who might be in the race, and we'll hear from a driver or two. So stay tuned for that. And then the Carolina Hurricanes. They were in action last night, getting a big win, a much-needed win against Minnesota with a late surge by Stefan Noesen on a deflected shot right around the halfway point of the third period. That and anything else that's on your mind, we will talk about it right here on the Scoreboard. As I said, 844 Studio 4 is our number. We're going to go ahead and get started right away with the high school basketball brackets. Round number 1 complete for 1A all the way through 4A. A couple of schools to keep an eye on here. In the 2A bracket, my alma mater, Pine Lake men's basketball team defeated East Surrey 61-55. So that's the 4 seed. Moving on, they will take on Walkertown, who took down Community School of Davidson. It's a local school right there down in Davidson. So Pine Lake moving on. Also, Lincolnton upset, or they got the win against Surrey Central. 62-60. And they take on the 1 seed. Now, Reedsville, as the 1 seed, they beat the 32 seed Madison, and this might be the most lopsided victory in high school basketball to date, for the year at least. 92-19, final score in that one. Yeesh. That's a tough one to swallow if you're Madison. Also, in the 2A, Bandies, who we've talked about before, they got an upset over their opponent, North Stanley. Lincoln Charter got a win in Salisbury as well. Moving on into the 3A bracket, and boy, you already know it, the team that we have been following in 3A, Statesville High School. I had the coach and a player in live at studio, and they went on quite the run after that. I'm not saying that we're the reason why here in the scoreboard. I'm just letting you know the facts of what happened. They came onto the show and they got hot. Unfortunately for Statesville High School, the hot streak has ended and the season has ended as the 28 seed Statesville High School falls to the 5 seed Crest. Final score in that one, 71-60. And look, it wasn't a terrible game. Statesville put up a fight. We don't have any stats yet that have been entered, it looks like. Actually, we do have some stats. So in the final game of the season for Statesville, Micaiah Davis, a senior, put up 22 points. He was the leading scorer there. Caleb Tillman, who we had in studio, 9 points in the last game of the season. And when you look at what they had this year, they're going to be losing a lot of seniors. Coach Nesbitt, hopefully, be able to return for his second year and start to build something. Because it was a real tell at the start of the year to overcome the adversity of the start of that season where you're only playing 3 games in over a month and a half, starting behind the 8 ball with multiple losses in a row. To claw back, make the playoffs is huge. So we'll see what Statesville's able to do in the coming years as they build this program with Coach Melvin Nesbitt. And the 4A bracket, well, actually, let's go back to 3A real quick because there were a couple other teams that I wanted to let you know about. Hickory, the 1 seed, we've been talking about them all year. They advanced to play North Lincoln in the second round. Central Davidson is the 3 seed. They were able to win. They'll take on Ben L. Smith. That does it in the 3A for the local schools. 4A, the big schools, the massive schools, if you will. 1 seed is Myers Park. We talked about them a little bit and how good they've been throughout the season. They won against Mallard. They won against Mallard Creek. Final score 82-41. And the 2 seed, Lake Norman, was able to get a win against Parkland High School, 83-36. So for Statesville, they move on to play the 15 seed, East Surrey. And the other school in the area we have been keeping an eye on, Mooresville High School. Yes, that's right. Mooresville has had a pretty good season. They got a little weird towards the end, but they were able to beat their rival, Lake Norman, right at the end of the season. Did okay in the conference tournament, so they only drew the 20 seed in the men's basketball tournament. They got a win against West Forsyth. That is an upset win, 66-62 on the road to get that done. Now they play the 4 seed, Mount Tabor. Things are not going to get any easier for Mooresville. They are not a very high-ranked team here in the playoffs as the 20 seed. If they do win this game, they get the winner between North Mech and South Mech. A nice little rivalry game there. That's a 5 and 12 seed going at it. That does it for your men's high school basketball update. We're going to get to the women's bracket after this break, as well as baseball, which is in full swing. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. This is the Scoreboard. We're back after this.
More of Sports Director Joe Berg's The Scoreboard is coming up on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
We're tracking a line of heavy rain through the area through about 6 o'clock this evening, along with those gusty winds, still gusting around 30 to 40 miles per hour. After that, though, the cold front will slide by. Our winds will still stay breezy, but our temperatures are going to fall like a rock as that chilly air starts to move in behind the cold front. We'll dip all the way down into the mid-30s. Some spots, the rural areas and farms, may even see the freezing mark by early tomorrow morning. We're dry for our Thursday, but it's cool with low to mid-50s. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. MuralFest is back. April 25th through the 28th at Wilkes Community College. Featuring nearly 100 performers, including Old Crow Medicine Show, Sam Bush, Turnpike Troubadours, the Teskey Brothers, Nickel Creek, and more. Tickets and information at muralfest.org. Listen each morning to Good Morning LKN for your chance to win tickets. Downtown Mooresville's Shamrocks and Shenanigans is on its way. St. Patty's Day is right around the corner. The festival is happening in downtown Mooresville. Attending is free, but there are ticket packages available for purchase. Irish dancers, pipe bands, food, and drinks. March 16th, downtown Mooresville's Shamrocks and Shenanigans is on its way. For more info, visit downtownmooresville.com. Coin collectors, get ready! The Statesville Coin and Currency Show is coming to the Statesville Civic Center March 16th and 17th, featuring over 60 tables of some of the finest coins around. For more info, contact Bill Brewer of Carolina Prospectors in Statesville. The Statesville Coin and Currency Show, Statesville Civic Center, March 16th and 17th. Want to see a Tyrannosaurus Rex? How about a Triceratops? Dinosaur World Live is coming to Kane Center for the Arts, Friday, March 29th. That's not the only fun family adventure coming to the Kane Center for the Arts. Dinosaur World Live, Friday, March 29th. For tickets and to see the entire spring lineup, visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Folks, you know it's been cold, and we at Randy Marion Stores in Statesville, we want to make sure your car does not leave you stranded on these cold mornings. Come let us check your vehicle out with a complimentary service check. Randy Marion Chevrolet of Statesville, Randy Marion Ford Lincoln, we'll check it out to make sure that car will start on these cold mornings and get you to where you need to be. Come see us today. Make sure you're tip-top ready to go. 2024 has started off cold. Let's make sure you are ready to go.
King of Price, RandyMarionStatesville.com. The Scoreboard with Joe Berg continues now on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
And we are back. The Scoreboard. 844-788-3464. Get you right here into the Statesville studios talking about all things sports here today. We just got done talking about the high school men's tournament going on. Let's turn our attentions now to the women's side of things. Yes, the women's bracket is on the move. We were covering one school here that we told you about. And obviously there are a lot others, but North Iredale's women's team has been in the playoffs here. We'll get to that, but we got to start the same way we always do over in the 1A schools. The number 1 seed, Mountain Heritage Cougars, they were able to beat Piedmont Classic 75-29. So the 1 seed here moving on pretty easily. Let's see, East Wilkes, Highland Tech, Cherokee moving on, Thomas Jefferson moving on, North Rowan. I don't think that any of those schools are in our general listening area, but I recognize some of the names. So moving on to the 2A conference, 2A women's, North Wilkes is going to be playing West Wilkes. That is going to be a fun little rivalry game right there. It is a 1-16 seed, so a little bit tough. to see an upset there, but it will be happening. Also, Shelby High School was able to move in as they beat my alma mater's team, Pine Lake women's team, 60-43. Lincoln Charter beat Maiden 51-40 to move on to round number 2. The 4-seed Community School of Davidson moving on to the second round. And it looks like we had one game that didn't have a result posted. Interesting. If anybody knows the result between Forbush and Providence Grove, women's basketball, I don't have a result for that one. So I don't know who the 2-seed East Rutherford is going to be playing. I'm sure it'll be updated soon, but that is the 2A bracket. Moving on, 3A schools. Told you about some local area schools that are moving on. East Lincoln, the 3-seed, they beat Forest View 79-33. Not a very close game there. They move on. North Iredell, one of those teams that I told you in the area, is in the women's tournament. They won their game against 23 Montgomery Central 54-43. They'll play the 7-seed Ashe County coming up on Friday. And for the big schools, the 4A bracket, Watauga is the number 1 seed. They actually took on South Iredell. We talked about how South Iredell men's team had a tough year, but the women's team was able to make the playoffs. And it was a good run for them, 9-18, not the best season, but it put them in position to be the 32 seed. Unfortunately, running into the 1 seed is a tough way to go. They lost that game 76-34. So Watauga will be playing North Mecklenburg. Hickory Ridge was able to get a win against West Cabarrus to move on. They'll be playing Charlotte Catholic. And let's see. Yes, the 2 seed. They're the number 2 seed in the men's. They're the number 2 seed in the women's. Lake Norman High School. 81-36 win. They move on to the second round, taking on RJ Reynolds as the 18 seed. They were able to upset the 15 seed team, Northwest Guilford, 46-37. That is how things shake up in high school basketball, both the men and women's side of things. Next round, Friday. So we will preview it tomorrow, talk more about it on Friday, and then come Monday, we will know who is in round number 3 of the high school playoffs for basketball. But basketball, it's not the only thing going on right now, and I've talked about it, but baseball, yes, baseball is back, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead and talk about these schools that we've been covering in football and in basketball. We're going to continue to talk about these schools through the baseball season. Starting the same way we always do, Mooresville High School. They beat North Lincoln in their opening scrimmage game. Now, Max Preps has them listed at 1-0, but I don't believe that one actually counted in the record book because it was a scrimmage game. But until I've seen otherwise, Mooresville is 1-0. Their next game is today. They take on Forbush at 7 o'clock. That game will be home for them. Last night, Lake Norman took on Huff High School, and the Huskies got the better of the Wildcats there. 11-1, the final score. Starting pitcher for Lake Norman, Drew Nelson, the senior. Not a great outing for him, unfortunately. 2.1 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, 5 walks, 4 earned runs. So it was a tough one there. The Huskies put up 6 runs in the first 3 innings and then ran away with it from there, beating the Wildcats 11-1 and giving Drew Nelson his first loss of the season. Next game for Lake Norman, though, isn't long from now. It's tomorrow on Thursday. Lake Norman takes on Myers Park, and that'll be their opening home game of the season. Statesville High School starts their season tomorrow against Newton Conover. Now, Newton Conover has already played a game this year. They lost their opener 10-0 to Ford High School. But Statesville on the road against Newton Conover will open their season. But then on Friday, when they come back against Lincolnton, that will be the home opener there. North Iredell also opens their season tomorrow against Elkin. Home game for North Iredell, so they get to open their season at home. And then on Friday, they also have another home game. Back-to-back games there for North Iredell. West Iredell had a couple of games in their season already. They lost the first one against Bandy's, which we talked about yesterday, 10-5. And, 2 nights ago. And last night against Hibberton School, they lost that one 9-1. Tough game there for West Iredell. Starting pitcher in that one, as it just went away on me, Randy Holloman went for the start, 3 1/3 innings, 8 strikeouts, but 3 earned runs there. Got him pinned with the loss as the Panthers beat the Warriors 9-1. South Iredell opened their season yesterday. They played Oak Grove, and this is the final school we got to talk about here in baseball land for high school. The Grizzlies beat the Vikings 10-5, jumped out to a 6-0 lead in the first 2 innings of the game, and it was just too much for South Iredell to overcome. Dylan Huseman, the freshman, slated to start that game, and he gets pinned with the first loss of the season for South Iredell. And as I always say, we will continue to cover all these high school teams throughout the regular season, into the playoffs. Even when school's done, we'll be talking high school sports. I am sure of it. 844 Studio 4 gets you right here into our studios. A couple of minutes before we go to our next commercial break here. So we're not going to start anything too serious of a discussion right now. I do want to let you know, though, that the MLB spring training, all scores have gone final for the day. So there are no more live spring training games, but we are getting closer and closer to opening day. Man, it feels like we just crowned the Rangers the World Series champions, doesn't it? And it was a interesting World Series, too. A couple of teams that hard to root against. When you see the Diamondbacks are playing the Rangers, it's like, we don't see those two teams all that much. Maybe I'll tune in. But maybe you won't because they're, like I said, not teams you hear about. Anyway, that was the World Series from last year. This year, it'll probably be the Dodgers and the Yankees or something ridiculous like that, where the world is going to shatter because we had two teams that don't really move the needle in baseball participate in the World Series last year. This year, maybe we'll see the Dodgers out there. I mean, they got Ohtani. Whew. Not only do they have Ohtani, but they signed Yamamoto, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Remember we talked about him, teammates with Shohei during the World Baseball Classic for Japan, winning the gold there. Dodgers are going to be a tough team to beat, but there are playoffs. Now, they could be a great regular season team, and I don't deny that they will be. But you got to win when you get to the playoffs, and we got a long way to go before we even discuss who's eligible for baseball playoffs. We're about halfway through the program here today on the Scoreboard. 844 Studio 4 will get you right here into the home base. When we come back, we are going to start our NASCAR preview, hear from a couple of drivers, talk about Las Vegas Motor Speedway coming up on Sunday. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Scoreboard. We are back right after this.
Keep it right here. We'll have more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg in just a moment from 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
We're tracking a line of heavy rain through the area through about 6 o'clock this evening, along with those gusty winds, still gusting around 30 to 40 miles per hour. After that, though, the cold front will slide by. Our winds will still stay breezy, but our temperatures are going to fall like a rock as that chilly air starts to move in behind the cold front. We'll dip all the way down into the mid-30s. Some spots, the rural areas and farms, may even see the freezing mark by early tomorrow morning. We're dry for our Thursday, but it's cool with low to mid-50s. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Little Shavers Wood Shop and Building Supply is your one-stop source for winter electric and torpedo heaters, heat lamps, pine and cedar shavings, ice melt, and snow sleds. Plus year-round items including PPG paints and stains, tools for plumbing and heating, and automotive supplies. Over 55,000 warehouse products available. You'll find Little Shavers on Facebook and online at littleshavers.com. That's LILshavers.com.
Hi, this is Susan. I'm excited to let you know that Lake Mountain Coffee is now available for private events. Our beautiful historic building with its 360-degree mezzanine has hosted many private parties, catered diners, and even an actual wedding. Please contact Andy at 704-252-1886 for more information. Thank you so much.
Got a Toyota? Get it serviced at Quality Car Care of Statesville. Looking for a great pre-owned vehicle? Quality Car Care has you covered at 2040 Old Mountain Road. Visit qualitycarcarestatesville.com.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-869-8560. 800-869-8560. 800-869-8560. That's 800-869-8560.
President Biden recently released a massive $6 trillion budget, the largest budget in U.S. history. And guess who pays the bill? That's right, you, the American taxpayer. American citizens and business owners will be paying more taxes. That's a fact. And if you owe back taxes, they will be coming after you to collect payments. In fact, President Biden also hired thousands more IRS agents to go after you. If you got a letter from the IRS and you know you owe back taxes or you haven't filed in years, don't put your head in the sand. Call us today. We've saved our customers millions of tax dollars. One quick, free phone call will show you how we can reduce your past tax bill and save you thousands. Guaranteed, or you pay nothing. Call now.
800-218-6440. 800-218-6440. 800.
Be a part of the conversation.
We can't fix America's debt by starving its people.
Have your say.
One shooting after another, and we're doing nothing to solve it?
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. The FAA is giving Boeing 90 days to come up with a plan to fix its quality control issues. The agency's head met with Boeing's CEO and said Boeing's executives will have to make a sustained effort to fix things. The agency will hold the plane maker accountable. Strong words, but the FAA did not stop Boeing's 737 MAX deliveries. That's part of the reason Boeing shares rose almost 3%. AI may not be ready for prime time. Microsoft is looking into reports its Copilot chatbot is generating insulting and potentially harmful responses. Copilot told one user it didn't care if the person lived or died and offered mixed messages on committing suicide. Microsoft says it has made changes, but that the behavior was a response to intentional efforts to goad Copilot into such responses. On Wall Street, investors rolled back losses, but the stock averages still fell 1/10 to about 0.5%. The Dow down 23, the Nasdaq 88, the S&P 8. Joan Doniger, Bloomberg Radio.
Talk sports with Joe Berg. Call 844-STUDIO-4. It's the Scoreboard on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
All right, second half of the Scoreboard here today on this Wednesday. 844-STUDIO-4. That is the phone number. Talk about whatever you like. On topic, off topic. We can change gears in a hurry. And changing gears right now to talk NASCAR. Fresh off of the third closest finish in NASCAR history. And, man, maybe one of the best finishes in NASCAR history. I got to put that up there. And I know the debate is, they had reconfigured Atlanta. That's what they wanted. They wanted to put on a show. Well, they did put on a show. Cool. It worked. The track did what they wanted it to do. Now, maybe it wasn't the way you wanted it to drive, but it was a good race. It was a great finish. So what? It wasn't manufactured great finish. It's just a result of draft track racing. The way it's been for years. So enjoy it. Maybe it's time to finally say, hey, Atlanta's actually a good track. Now, I like it. I liked the race, and I can't deny that. So now we move on, though. We had Daytona, we had Atlanta, and finally we can go to a track that requires a little bit of skill and manhandling of the race car. You know, you're not just running full throttle anymore. Las Vegas. Last year, William Byron won the opening Vegas race. Kyle Larson won the second race, and that second one was him holding off Christopher Bell right at the last second. Almost a photo finish, but not quite. As we head into Las Vegas, the NASCAR Point Series leader, Kyle Busch. Here's Kyle Busch on his love-hate relationship with Las Vegas.
Even as a kid, I had a love-hate relationship with that place. Growing up there, racing there, you know, sometimes you'd win, sometimes you'd not win, you know, so it was always tough and a challenge at the short track, but same for the super speedway, you know. I think you just put a lot of pressure on yourself. I do, of wanting to win at your hometown track. When I did win there in 2009, it felt like a Daytona 500 win. I mean, we partied all night long. Fortunately, the plane got stuck. Wasn't able to go home because of snow on the ground in Charlotte. But all in all, just, yeah, I mean, I think I've outdone the third place finish at that track over the course of my career. There's more thirds there than anything else. So I know very well about being 0-2 close.
I think the most shocking thing about that comment is that in 2009, when they went to Las Vegas in late February, early March, there was snow on the ground in Charlotte. I don't know if anyone here looked outside today, but it was a little rainy, but it was 70 degrees. Big difference. That's funny. That is funny. One thing that I can say with certainty is that weather will not play a factor in Sunday's race. Yay! We're finally going to have a race where we don't have to worry about it. Now, it's going to be windy, though, and we know that wind affects these race cars. About 20 miles an hour worth of wind on Sunday, right around drop of the green flag. So that could cause for some really evil handling race cars, as DW used to say. Darrell Waltrip used to call those cars evil. So we head to Las Vegas with Kyle Busch as the points leader. William Byron second in the points. He's got a win, though, so he is locked in. Daniel Suarez, the other winner so far this year, he sits seventh in the regular season points, which is nice, but he does have that win to lock him into the playoffs. As of right now, if the season were to end, and I know it's the second race of the year, what are you talking about? Well, we'll get there. If the season were to end today, the 16th place driver in the points, Christopher Bell. Some drivers that would not make the playoffs: Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, So that is the result of back-to-back super speedway races to start a year. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I saying that it matters, because it doesn't. And we've talked about that. You have a playoffs, you have a point reset, you just have to get a win. Now, I fully expect for the 6 of Keselowski, the 22 of Logano, the 11 even of Denny Hamlin to fight back and be top 10 in points more than likely. Probably get a win throughout the year. Keselowski's due. Keselowski is due for a win, and I can see him getting one this year. But it doesn't matter. Like I said, if you win a race, Brad Keselowski, Noah Gragson right now has -6 points after the penalties that we talked about coming out of Atlanta. If he wins at Vegas, who cares? He could have -1,000 points, and he's still going to be in the playoffs. That's just the comical part of the NASCAR point system. Just thinking about that makes me laugh, man. Anyway, let's hear from another driver, shall we? We got a couple others we can hear from. Christopher Bell barely lost to Kyle Larson in the fall race at Las Vegas this year. And he has been close there a couple of times. Here is Bell on if Vegas owes him one.
Well, certainly, even before this last race, Vegas has been a place where nothing owes it to you, but it's certainly one that we've been really fast at and haven't won it. And even beyond the 20 car, like even in the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series, I've performed well there, but never won there. So certainly Vegas is one that I want to win at really bad.
And I think he's going to have a chance. And like you said, he's run there plenty of times. He's run good there. He's always in the mix. I am excited for this Vegas race. Honestly, I can't wait to get away from the draft tracks. And, I'll admit it. I look forward to it. I look forward to going to Daytona. I look forward to Talladega in the spring. I look forward to Daytona late in the year. But there was just something weird. It was just something really weird about back-to-back draft tracks where you go to Daytona and then it's usually, all right, Daytona's over. Let's settle into the season and go out west, or even when it was Atlanta race number 2 on the old configuration. It was, okay, let's settle in, get to a track where you actually have to drive the car and use some talent. Nope. First 2 races were pretty much luck. I mean, there's skill involved. There's talent involved. I'm not saying there isn't, but if you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, it happens often. I mean, lap 2, your race could have been over at Atlanta. Lap 2. So you really never know when you go to those super speedways. But now we have a chance to settle into the season. Long way to go in this schedule. We got short tracks coming up. We got the Food City 500 is back, which is nice. The springtime Bristol race. It's not going to be on dirt anymore. Boy, was that a terrible decision. So I was checking out NASCAR Classics just to kind of see what they have uploaded as of late. Now, none of the 2024 races have been uploaded to NASCAR Classics, but if I was NASCAR, I would have taken that Atlanta race and put it on there right away. I was curious. I was, NASCAR is cataloging all of their past races, putting it on classics.nascar.com. You can pretty much go and watch any race you'd like from any year. Now, the whole thing isn't going to be there, if you want to watch a race from 1951 at Daytona Beach. The whole thing is not going to be there, but there is some footage there. I would have put the Atlanta race there right away, and immediately start marketing it. But what do I know? I just try to help NASCAR out the best I can. By the way, your favorite to win Las Vegas this weekend, by a long shot, actually. He's kind of pulled away from the rest of the field. Kyle Larson, the fall winner, is the betting favorite for Las Vegas. Final break of the day on this Wednesday. We'll wrap things up and be out of here on the day. Don't go anywhere. Back after this.
This guy knows his sports, right? There's more of the Scoreboard with Joe Berg on the way on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Well, tracking a line of heavy rain through the area through about 6 o'clock this evening, along with those gusty winds, still gusting around 30 to 40 miles per hour. After that, though, the cold front will slide by. Our winds will still stay breezy, but our temperatures are going to fall like a rock as that chilly air starts to move in behind the cold front. We'll dip all the way down into the mid-30s. Some spots, the rural areas and farms, may even see the freezing mark by early tomorrow morning. We're dry for our Thursday, but it's cool with low to mid-50s. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. MrillFest is back. April 25th through the 28th at Wilkes Community College. Featuring nearly 100 performers, including Old Crow Medicine Show, Sam Bush, Turnpike Troubadours, the Teskey Brothers, Nickel Creek, and more. Tickets and information at MrillFest.org. Listen each morning to Good Morning LKN for your chance to win tickets. Downtown Mooresville's Shamrocks and Shenanigans is on its way. St. Patty's Day is right around the corner. The festival is happening in downtown Mooresville. Attending is free, but there are ticket packages available for purchase. Irish dancers, pipe bands, food, and drinks. March 16th, downtown Mooresville's Shamrocks and Shenanigans is on its way. For more info, visit downtownmooresville.com. Coin collectors, get ready! The Statesville Coin and Currency Show is coming to the Statesville Civic Center March 16th and 17th, featuring over 60 tables of some of the finest coins around. For more info, contact Bill Brewer of Carolina Prospectors in Statesville. The Statesville Coin and Currency Show, Statesville Civic Center, March 16th and 17th. Want to see a Tyrannosaurus Rex? How about a Triceratops? Dinosaur World Live is coming to Kane Center for the Arts, Friday, March 29th. That's not the only fun family adventure coming to the Kane Center for the Arts. Dinosaur World Live, Friday, March 29th. For tickets and to see the entire spring lineup, visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Make your work easier with Eagle Rentals of Troutman and Statesville. Eagle Rentals has generators, heaters, fans, painting equipment, floor care equipment, pressure washers, lighting equipment, and lawn care equipment. Plus, Eagle Rentals has construction equipment like forklifts, bobcat loaders, backhoes, excavators, and more. Reserve online at eaglerentals.com. That's eaglerentals.com.
It's the Scoreboard with your host, Sports Director Joe Berg on 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Ladies and gentlemen, final segment. 844 Studio 4 gets you right here into the main studio. Talk about sports. You'll be put right here on the air. Whatever's on your mind, we'll humor you. We have fun here on the Scoreboard. We got like 10 minutes left here. So if you have something on your mind and you're just hoping someone agrees with you, why don't run it past me? You know, maybe you want to talk about how the Panthers have raised their ticket prices after being the worst team in the NFL and trading away their number one overall pick so they can't really improve the team. Did anybody see that? The Panthers are going to be raising their ticket prices by like 4% or something like that? Terrible. Well, you guys stink. The stadium was half empty. And raising prices, that's the way to get people back in, because there's nothing that we love more than paying $150 per ticket to go watch the Panthers lose 34-17. 17 points is generous, honestly. Man, they stink. And they're raising prices. What is Tepper doing, honestly? Honestly. I don't care if he says that other schools are doing it. Okay, your friend jumped off a building. Does that mean you have to jump off a building? Huh, David? Mr. Tepper? You really think you're going to get fans back into the stadium, don't you? I don't think you are. Is anybody excited for the Panthers this year? I'm not. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be a bad few years here. It's ridiculous is what it is. 844 Studio 4. Man, I have never seen a team like Duke drag a storyline out for as long as they have than this storyline on the court storming against Wake. Who cares? And I don't know if anyone here, and I'm getting a little animated now because I'm tired of this narrative. If anybody pays attention to ESPN anymore, which I don't really think many people do, Mad Dog Rooster was on there this morning, losing his mind. And I got to tell you, it was actually pretty funny. And he was right. There's a lot of things to consider with court storming. There's so much to do. But Duke is upset. And then I was thinking about this too, but he brought up the footage on ESPN today, earlier today. And he goes, this is the football game, Duke versus Clemson, when Duke won. And twice as many people stormed the field. But Duke wants to clamor about it. You know, and I've watched this video back so many times of Wake Forest, Duke, the court storming. Here's the report today. And I'm not going to say anything that would be controversial, but I am going to give you my opinion on this because it's ridiculous. Duke center Kyle Filipowski avoided major injury, but was still a little bit sore earlier on Monday. This is from a few days ago. He is expected to play today. Yes, Duke plays today, and Filipowski's going to play. The incident left Filipowski sporting a bag of ice on his knee after banging that leg into a fan running by him towards midcourt. Schneider, who initially misspoke when he said it was an ankle injury, said that it didn't require any type of diagnostic internal imaging for the knee to search for a structural injury. Basically, nothing happened. Nothing at all. It was, they knocked knees. It was a bruise. And Duke is acting like they tried to kill one of their players on the court. And I'm not exaggerating here. This is ridiculous. Shut up. Shut up about it. Who cares? Wake Forest never makes the tournament. Duke, you make the tournament every year. You want to prevent fans storming the court? How about you don't lose those games that you're supposed to win? Huh? Did you ever think of that? How are you going to keep these kids off the court? You're not. It's just not going to happen. Unless you kick every single one of them out of school, which isn't going to happen. So just shut up and win. That's simple. And I know, maybe it's a little harsh. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. But it is now Wednesday, and we are still getting storylines about Wake storming the court. You lost. It happened over the weekend. Move on. I'm going to tell you what. Duke plays Louisville tonight. Louisville is not a good team. I would not be surprised if Louisville ends up winning this game. I wouldn't. Because it's absolutely ridiculous how much play they're getting out of this story. We got callers into the studio here. Maybe somebody else is just as upset as me. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Anyway, caller, you are on the scoreboard here. How can we help you today? What do you got?
Hey, Joe. I just had a quick question about this whole Duke thing. My thing is I keep going back to is, like, does this even happen if it's not Duke? Like, if it's any other team in the country?
No.
I feel like this is not a thing. And the amount of sports personalities that are blowing up about this, causing a huge mess, it feels like it's blowing this whole situation out of proportion, and it's ruining one of the cool aspects about college sports.
I agree with you. I love fans storming the court. I don't want anybody to misconstrue what I'm saying here. This only happened because it was a blue blood team losing to a team that doesn't make the tournament a lot, who now has a chance to make the tournament, a big upset win. Duke is supposed to win. The fans, the school, the students, they understand this. They're not stupid. So they get a big win. if they would have beat, and I don't want to pick on any other North Carolina schools, but we're going to take somebody who hasn't had a good year this year, NC State. If they beat NC State in a random game like that, nobody's storming the court. They beat Duke, an in-state rival, in a game where it mattered for the NCAA tournament. So I get your question there with, would it be any different if it wasn't Duke? Yeah, it would. But I still think, let's say they beat North Carolina, who is ranked right around Duke, actually. I think they're the 10th ranked team still. You would have had fans storming the court. So it's just because these teams that are supposed to win lose to teams they should beat. And the fans get it, which is why we get these situations. But you got to stop complaining about it. You're supposed to win these games. Eat it. Take it. It happened. You lost. Move on. Let people be happy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It doesn't happen if Duke, does the job that they're supposed to. And, if they want to avoid it in the future, they got to win their games.
If Duke beats Wake in Cameron Indoor, same game, it's just played in a different arena, nothing happens because Duke is supposed to win. So I do appreciate the call. Anything else you want to talk about with me today?
No, that was just my quick question. I figured we were on the same page, but I wanted to bring it up.
Well, I appreciate the call today. Thank you, and we always appreciate that. Look forward to hearing from you again at some point.
Appreciate it, Joe. Great show as always.
Thank you, my friend. And anybody else that wants to call in, 844-STUDIO-4. That's 844-788-3464. I often root for storylines nowadays rather than rooting for teams individually. And I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash from the local community for this, but I hope Duke loses tonight. I do. I hope Louisville beats them by 20. I do. I'm tired of it. Duke, be quiet. You lost. All right. Filipowski, hey, bud, I don't think that was a real injury. I'm sorry. I think you're trying to make a big deal out of it. I do. This is just my personal opinion. And you know what? I hope they're listening. I hope Duke is listening. I hope Kyle, I hope you're listening. Call me up, 844-STUDIO-4. Let me know, was it an actual injury? Because the report is you didn't even have to get any kind of imaging done for it. It probably just looked a little black and blue, and you went over to the reporters with a limp and said, oh, I got hurt because we lost. Maybe I'm being a little bit mean. Maybe. But I don't think I am. Because it's funny. It really is. Anyway, we got other things that happen. Texas and Texas Tech, man. Fans throwing bottles on the court. We had a situation where, let's see, it was Brock Cunningham hit Darian Williams like he was playing hockey. Like he was trying to check him into the boards. And he got a flagrant 2. He got tossed from the game. Things were getting thrown onto the court. It was a mess out there. A mess. There's so much going on in college basketball right now. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, you had my alma mater, Fairleigh Dickinson. Their basketball team was stuck in an elevator. Gotta love March Madness. We got one extra day before we can officially claim it to be March Madness, but we are getting close. All right, last thing here for the day. On this day in sports history, let's see if we got anything good. We got about a minute left, so we've got to be quick. On this day in 1967, Wilt Chamberlain made an NBA record 35 consecutive field goals. 35 consecutive field goals. That was on this day. Also on this day, Don Mattingly was named the Yankees' 10th captain. That was in 1991. And on this day, in 2021, the sensation was starting. Caitlin Clark scored 18 points and had 14 assists in a game against Wisconsin. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to the Scoreboard today. Appreciate all the listeners, appreciate the calls, and always love interacting with you, the audience. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Don't miss a thing here on the Scoreboard. Until then, though, have a good night, everyone.